Hi, everyone. I want to thank you for your time today and really appreciate your evaluating Intacct for your financial management solution to replace Microsoft Dynamics GP. For those Dynamics GP customers who are new to Intacct, Intacct is best-in-cloud financial management and accounting software that provides your organization with increased efficiency and faster insights to drive better performance and continued growth. I'm Mark Gervais, a Senior Product Marketing Manager with Intacct. I'm here at Intacct's headquarters in San Jose. I've been in Silicon Valley for a little over a decade and have focused on cloud technologies for the last few of those years. I'm also a former CPA, so I know cloud, I know accounting, but enough about me. I'm joined today by Lindy Antonelli from Armanino LLP, where she's a partner for consulting services. And Lindy is joining us from her office in Chicago. Lindy, want to tell us a little bit more about yourself?
Sure, Mark. Thank you. I'm a CPA as well and started in public accounting. I've been a partner at Armanino for about 6 months. Prior to that, I had a business for 20 years implementing Dynamics GP. So I've had about 20 years experience in the Great Plains world, about the last 2.5 years implementing Intacct, and I have just seen so much success with our clients and with the Intacct solution that I sold my business, my GP practice of over 500 implementations about a year ago, and then I merged up with Armanino to cover and handle our national cloud accounting solutions practice.
Oh, that's wonderful. So we've clearly found the expert, somebody who really knows Intacct, somebody who really knows Dynamics GP. So with that, I think we can get right into it. Lindy, I want to start off talking about the features and functions that a finance professional would use on a daily basis. So tell me about some of these main product categories, some of these main features where Intacct and Dynamics GP are truly different.
Great, Mark. Yeah, I'd be happy to. I think the first area is in the core structure and architecture of Intacct. Intacct has a true multi-entity configuration with a consolidations module that's world-class. We have something in Intacct called dimension tagging, which is built into the modern architecture of the system. Custom fields can be created within Intacct without any third parties or extra modules. And then, of course, dashboards, analytics, and reporting are one of the hallmarks of the Intacct solution.
Oh, great. I think those categories give us a few places to start. Going back to multi-entity and consolidations, can we talk a little bit about what that process is like if you've got multiple entities, or what it's like when you try and consolidate those entities?
Sure. In a Dynamics GP world, if you need to add another entity, you're going to have to re-implement the system for the new entity. There are some scripts and things that you can write to bring some data over, but basically it's a new reconfiguration. In the Intacct world, we have something called multi-entity shared, and the shared concept means sort of at the highest level, we can create and configure the entity, how the entity should look and behave, and then as we add new entities, they can take on that model. So, that means, for instance, a shared chart of accounts, shared customers potentially, and vendors, and and then a pool of currencies if you're using multi-currency as well.
All right. So the setup certainly sounds easier with Intacct, and what about when it's month-end, quarter-end, and when it's time to hit that consolidation button, so to speak?
Oh, sure, Mark. Well, hands down, the Intacct Consolidations module is just a world-class solution. It's the best solution that I've seen out there in the mid-market. The GP solution, I call the concept of consolidations in GP really more of a combination. You can create, as I said, multiple entities and re-implement the system multiple times to track those companies, if you will. But there is a do-to-do-from in GP, but there is no concept of eliminating entries automatically or consolidation books or the foreign exchange tracking within the multiple entities. So it's in GP it's cumbersome, it's expensive, and if you want to automate it, you have to go out to a third party like a $1 million Hyperion solution. With Intacct, it's just built into the Consolidations module that we can do all that literally after the setup with a click of the button at the end of the month.
Oh, great. Yeah. That helps clear it up. Now, you did mention Hyperion, third parties. Is there, when it comes to multiple entities, is there some special custom implementation work, custom programming you might need if you do have to change your reporting structure, you enter a new business agreement, that sort of thing? How does that work in a multi-entity world?
In GP, yeah, you have to re-implement, you have to reconfigure stuff. Even at the core of GP is this account framework. So if you add another entity that has a different account framework, you may have to re-implement the GP system overall to make it fit, or you're going to have a whole new instance of GP with a different account framework. Again, this could be meaning multiple servers or a whole re-implementation. It could be very, very costly and expensive. With the Intacct multi-entity shared, it's simply subscribing to another entity, and that's it.
No, great. Concise, the simple explanation. I appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
Switching gears here, one of the things you mentioned, one of the main categories you talked about were dimensions. I think on the surface, people may not get what that means. Can you talk a little bit about what dimensions are, what they do, how that impacts your GL?
Oh, absolutely. So I think the dimension tagging is really the hallmark of the Intacct solution. It's at its core. Modern architecture is this dimension tracking. So I like to explain to clients that if you think about a GL account number in Dynamics GP or any other on-premise solution, virtually any other solution out there, enterprise or mid-market, and if you think about your hands stretching outward like an accordion, as you want to do different tracking in your GL, you have to typically add segments, so meaning add a bunch of zeros in your account number with dashes or dots or whatever. So the account number can grow very long, become cumbersome. You have to have a very, very what I call a long chart of accounts. And with the Intacct solution, the dimensions are separate. They are their own concept. And when a transaction originates in a subledger, you can actually tag that transaction with certain information. So, for instance, if it's an AR invoice, the customer is automatically tagged, the date, the transaction amount, and then you enter in your GL number. You can enter in then different dimensions against that. So, for instance, maybe an employee ID who would be the sales rep. Maybe this invoice goes to a project, so you can tag it with a project ID or a class ID. So you can use these dimensions to tag transactions in the subledger. They automatically roll into the natural account in the general ledger, but the dimensions are saved at the general ledger, so you can actually drill down from the general ledger to get to this, what I call a P&L by dimension. So think of it as a sales invoice with line items on it. You can actually slice and dice your data by line item, by item type of that item category. It's very, very flexible. It gives you full visibility into P&L data by this dimension concept.
That's great. I think you touched on a number of interesting points there with the natural GL account, the concept of a really clean GL, of being able to drill down into these dimensions and get into reporting, which brings up some customization issues. I think that when it comes to your business, every business is unique and individual and might want to tag things and use different types of dimensions. What can be done with regard to custom fields, custom views, some of the things that you'll need to customize your views and your accounting?
Mm-hmm. Well, in the Intacct, any person, even an end user, if they have the right security, can make custom fields up in about 5 minutes. They're very simple and very easy to set up. And then you can, through either the financial report writer or the custom report writer, you can take those custom fields and use them as sorting options or add them to reports to to really be able to slice and dice the data based upon these custom fields. Using the Dynamics GP solution, we as I'll say former implementers of GP for many years, made a living off of, for instance, using the modifier to add custom fields. And because it was very hard to do, so the client couldn't do it, we had to do it, and then all the reports the custom fields need to be added to the reports, and then if you have an upgrade, those custom fields may or may not upgrade with you. So it was, in the GP world, it's doable, but it's expensive and kind of clunky. In Intacct, it's just all built right in. All those custom fields upgrade with the system every time there's an upgrade.
Okay, great. I think that rolls and leads nicely into my next question. You talked about multiple entities and consolidations, using dimensions for tagging, being able to use custom fields, custom views. I think what that sets up nicely is the fourth category you mentioned is a difference between Intacct and GP is using all of that, what you've done for analytics, for reporting. Talk a little bit about why Intacct is different than Dynamics GP when it comes to that type of insight and reporting. Well,
absolutely. I mean, the core thing that you log into when you go into Intacct from a browser is you can set up your dashboard to be your sort of home page. And that dashboard is a living, breathing, vital part of the system. It's you can store reports there. You can put views out there. You can put charts and graphs. You can put things like cash balances, what have you, right on your dashboard. And you can, with a single click, be able to drill down into that data. Maybe it's a summary level P&L. You can then drill down further into the detail. You can then drill down further by dimension and actually view the dimensional tagging and information about that. So that's one area of ease of sort of this visibility, data visibility. The other is we can create KPIs and store analytics in the system. We can actually report on statistical accounts and track data really at the customer's wishes to create this sort of sales analytics dashboard for them.
Okay, you did touch on a great point there, and that is statistical accounts. I think that one of the things I understand is a big difference between Intacct and Dynamics GP has to do with reporting and what the management reporter module can do with GP with respect to financial reporting versus things like operational reporting and getting into KPIs. Is there anything you can add there?
Yeah, I mean, Dynamics GP, the management reporter is very, very robust, but it used to be called FRX, the Financial Reporting Extender, and it really is a financial reporting tool. It's not an operational tool, so it can't do the analytics. So with GP, there are out-of-the-box reports, but really, I mean, over the 20 years of implementing GP, most of our clients went to either Crystal Reports or SQL reporting services to get reports out. So, you're adding costs, and those tend to be programming tools. So you need to have the knowledge and expertise in those areas and those other systems. In the Intacct, with the financial report writer and then the custom report writer, we can actually build those reports. We can show our clients how to do it. They end up building them themselves. They're pretty easy end-user tools, and within, during the course of the implementation, your reports can be built out in Intacct much easier, much less costly, and really right from the same tool that you're using all the time. You don't have to go out to a third party.
No, that is kind of a common thread I'm picking up on when it comes to features that are out of the box with Intacct that come inherent to the system versus things you can do with the Microsoft Dynamics GP solution, but will require some custom work, some programming, some implementation. So I think that's a good place to draw the line between the two, understanding what it takes to get done what you really need to get done with your business from a reporting and analysis standpoint.
Well, absolutely, and I think, Mark, all that equates to time to implement and cost to implement, as well as the overall concept of the cloud with the low IT cost, or no IT cost really with a cloud solution versus an on-premise like a GP.
No, perfect transition. That is one of the things I wanted to cover. I want to move our discussion to the topic of the cloud. I know that many organizations that use on-premises accounting systems like Dynamics GP are considering moving to the cloud and considering Intacct. I know that the cloud has eliminated the need for a lot of our customers to install, maintain, upgrade applications, reducing their dependence on IT and really freeing up the finance organization to focus solely on the business. So how does this reduction in total cost of ownership on the technology side provide a boost on the business side?
Well, I think it's a couple of things. Intacct is it's got a really easy look and feel to it. It's easier user adoption. It's not intimidating to log in and get to that sort of data visibility very, very quickly. With the concept of the cloud solution, you just need a browser and an internet. You don't, and a device. You don't necessarily need to be tied to your desktop or your certain laptop with a certain installed configuration on it. So it does free you up to either be able to work remotely or to allow other stakeholders, such as your outside CPA or board members, to be able to log in and get visibility into that data. I mean, it's all about, access to the data, the visibility, the speed with which you can provide data to your key stakeholders. And Intacct really it reduces that sort of added IT stress of logging in, but it also reduces the overall month-end closing process through its ease of use, so you can get the data out there quicker.
Oh, well, thanks, Lindy. I think that was a great discussion on feature differences, benefits of the cloud. Are there any things that customers considering Intacct should really think about carefully, before they move off of Dynamics GP? Is there something they may be giving up, or any ways that maybe Intacct or the cloud might not be best for them?
Well, yeah, Mark, thanks for bringing that up, because Intacct and cloud solutions are not for every single business out there. And the first thing is, if you are a manufacturer or a really heavy distributor and you have a ton of inventory needs, maybe you need an MRP and an ERP, inventory Intacct isn't quite built out for that. We do have third-party answers to that, where we can actually interface in some other MRP-type solutions into Intacct, but typically, I would look into that further, before considering Intacct if you're in those industries. And then the other area that we've seen, not as often, but several companies recently that I've worked with have had the requirement to have payroll in-house, either for certain board purposes or what have you. But Intacct has this best-in-class approach. So, for instance, the payroll is an outsourced solution in Intacct, and the general ledger entry is brought over. In GP, there is a payroll and HR system that you can purchase. So it's certain functionality like that you really need to dig deeper into when you're researching either moving off GP or if you're researching GP versus Intacct.
Okay, thanks, Lindy. It was so great of you to share your expertise and your very thoughtful and insightful analysis. I'm going to let you go here, and thank you for your time. I'm just going to do a little wrap up here and let our audience wrap up as well. So thanks again, Lindy.
Great, thank you, Mark.
So, given these compelling reasons that Lindy has covered to move to the cloud and to move to Intacct, we ask our Dynamics GP customers, why wait? I think there are many reasons to switch to Intacct Now, and here are my top 5. The first is improving productivity. You can connect Intacct to your other systems. You can move faster, driving those productivity and efficiency gains that help you grow revenue and at the same time control costs. Number 2 is focus on business growth. The cloud levels the playing field for SMBs. It's going to help you compete in today's quickly changing business environment by spending less time and money on IT and more time focused on your most important priority, growing your business. The third reason to switch to the cloud in Intacct is to leverage new technology to adapt to modern working styles. All of us see and read about how mobility is important, working from home, whether you're for or against that, and just the global nature of work now that is going to require 24/7 access. The cloud can really deliver a solution there. The fourth reason is to accommodate growth. If you're undergoing a global expansion, a new acquisition, entering into a joint venture, or starting new lines of business, Intacct is an instantly scalable solution that can be used anywhere. And the last reason we're seeing companies move to the cloud and to Intacct is industry validation. The functional richness of our solution has resulted in Intacct being recognized as the preferred provider of financial applications by the AICPA. It's not just us who are touting the benefits of Intacct, but the AICPA has recognized Intacct as their preferred provider of financial apps, and they conducted a very thorough evaluation of different solutions before selecting Intacct as best in class. So take the AICPA's word for it. Thanks again so much for your time, everyone. To learn more about Intacct or to attend a webinar, take a free trial, or connect with us over social media, start at www.intacct.com. Thanks for your time.